going to continue to practice using our stacking strategy to compare a list of numbers. So look at this problem. Peter, Dustin, and Henry weigh on a digital scale. Peter's weight is 103 and 5/10 pounds, and Dustin's weight is 103 and 4/100 pounds. Henry's weight is 103 and 65 thousandths pounds. What is a comparison that could be made? And just like comparing two numbers, when we compare a list of numbers, we still want to stack the numbers, and we can use a place value chart. So now let's start with putting Peter's weight into our place value chart, making sure that we line up all our numbers. And then we're going to put Dustin's weight underneath Peter's weight. So we're stacking and make sure we put our numbers in the correct place value. And then we'll put Henry's weight in. Then we start over comparing our numbers by starting with the whole numbers, because whole numbers are larger than decimal numbers. So because it goes up to the hundreds, all the numbers in the hundred place are the same. So then we move to the next place value, which is the tens. All the numbers are the same in the tens place, so we move to the ones place. Those numbers are the same. Move to the tens place. I noticed that there's a 500. Well, 5 is larger than 00, so that makes 103 and 5/10 larger than the other two numbers. But since these two are the same, then I would move over to the next place value, and then I have a 4 and 6. So 6 is larger than 4. So 103 and 5/10 is the largest number. The next largest number is 103 and 65 thousandths, and the smallest number is 103 and 4/100ths. So what comparison can we make? Well, we could say 103 and 5/10 is greater than 103 and 4/100ths, but 103 and 4/100ths is less than 103 and 65 thousandths. Or we could say Peter's weight, Peter's weight is greater than Dustin's weight, but Dustin's weight is less than Henry's weight. Now let's practice another problem that requires us to compare a list of decimal numbers. John's dog's weight is 12 and 3/10 pounds, and Kim's dog's weight is 12 and 307 thousandths pounds. Anna's dog's weight is 12 and 286 thousandths pounds, and Chauncey's dog's weight is 12 and 34 hundredths pounds. Remember, we want to use the stacking method when we are comparing decimals. So let's put John's dog's weight in our chart. Okay, and now Kim's dog's weight. And then we want to stack Anna's dog's weight underneath that. And finally, Chauncey's dog's weight. Right. Now, let's start with our whole numbers. So we start with comparing our whole numbers. And so we look at the tens place. All the numbers are ones. So if the numbers are the same, then you move to the next place value. So in the ones place, all the numbers are the same. Go to the tens place, and I have 3 out of 4 numbers that are the same, and the other number is 2. And 2 is less than 3, so that makes 12 and 286 thousandths the smallest number out of our list. So This number right here is the least. Okay. All right, so we're no longer comparing this number because we know that this number is the least. Okay, so going back to our tens place, we have 3, 3, 3, so we'll move on to the hundreds place. And remember 8, we're not looking at 8 anymore because we know that that number is the smallest. And this number doesn't have a number, so we're going to have to fill in the zero. So we have 0, 0, 4. Out of those numbers, 4 is the largest number, so that makes 12 and 34 hundredths the largest number, or the biggest number. So we're going to label that because we're no longer comparing that number. So we have 0 and 0, so we go to our final, it's our last thousandths. We can put a 0 in there to fill that in. We can put a 0 down here, but we're no longer, actually I'm going to erase that because we're no longer looking at that number because this number is the largest, this number is the smallest, so then we're just looking at these two numbers. We have 0 and 7. 7 is bigger than 0, so this would be the next biggest number. 12 and 307 thousandths is the next biggest number. And then we have 12 and 3 tenths, or 300 thousandths, however you want to say it. So using our strategy of stacking, now we can answer a question. Whose dog weighed the most? Well, we labeled that. Whose dog weighed the most? Chauncey's dog. Whose dog weighed the least? And we labeled that one. And that is Anna's dog. How did Kim's dog weigh? Excuse me. How did Kim's dog's weight compare to Chauncey's dog's weight? Well, Kim's dog's weight is less than Chauncey's dog's weight.